I think Batman needs no introduction. He is DC's most popular hero, but he's not real, right? Most people laugh when I mention him. They think I am talking about comics, movies, cosplay, whatever. But the thing I am talking about isn't fiction. It's definitely real. Why? Because I saw him. The first stories came out of Gotham, of course, except Gotham isn't real. That's the clever part. It's a name people threw around for New York back in the day, like a joke, and it stuck in whispered places. People swore that there was something prowling the rooftops at night in the 70s, when the city was at its lowest. Muggers disappearing in alleys, bodies strung upside down from fire escapes, throats crushed like someone had dropped a sledgehammer. The newspapers just blamed gangs. The cops said it was vigilantism. But there were survivors, and they all described the same thing. Tall, cloaked, the face hidden, eyes burning white, wings that were not wings, just shadows stretched too far. And that sound, like a shriek mixed with a growl, rattled the fire escapes and glass windows. It moved fast, but it never left footprints. No one ever saw it in broad daylight. The stories quieted down in the 90s, around the same time the city cleaned up. But the sightings never stopped. They just spread. Remember when Chicago had the Mothman in 2011? It's sorta like that. Philadelphia, Detroit, and even across the border in Toronto. Same thing. Some vigilante-looking shape that shouldn't exist. You could feel it, but it vanished if you really started to notice. But of course, you wanted to hear my story. Fine. I used to be homeless in downtown Chicago in the late 90s, long before they shot The Dark Knight there. The reasons for me becoming homeless weren't because I lacked an education or anything like that. I had just lost my job due to redundancy, and with an estranged family situation, things weren't exactly the best. I was also an alcoholic, but I tried to put in some real effort to shake off my addiction. Overall, I was homeless for a short period of time. But what happened to me while homeless would be burned into my brain and cause me to scrutinize everything I even associate with Batman. And I had seen everything from fights, drug abuse, and the bums who mumble nonsense. I figured I had really seen everything, but it turned out I was wrong. Dead wrong. It happened when I found a parking garage with no security, and it was barely occupied. It was the best sleeping spot I ever had, a personal space all to myself. That's everything a bum could wish for. I spent a few nights there and nothing out of the ordinary happened. Until one night. I was trying to sleep when all of a sudden I got this feeling of being watched. I got up and scanned the area. Nothing. I figured it was just my senses going haywire due to being alone in a desolate car park. When I was just about to go back to sleep, I heard it. A scraping sound on another level. Heavy, like claws dragging across tar. Then a thud. I swear to God I didn't imagine it. Then the lights went out. Now I was alone in pitch-black darkness. I didn't have a flashlight at the time, so this made it even more nerve-wracking. I took deep breaths and just tried to dismiss the whole thing as animals making noise and a simple power outage, until I saw it. The bat signal. Obviously, this wasn't the same bat signal from the comics, but it was more like, well, have you watched The Bat from 1926? In that movie, the antagonist, the titular bat, uses a bat signal-like device that he shines on walls to frighten his victims. It was kind of like that. A small flashlight-like device with a giant outline of a black bat on it. I saw the light of the signal scanning the area, and I immediately left my camp and hid behind an adjacent pillar. As soon as I took cover, the signal shone over to my makeshift camp, and it stayed there for a good while. I watched as a figure no less than 7 feet tall made its way over to my camp. Since it was almost pitch black, with the only source of illumination being a literal goddamn bat signal, I couldn't make out the precise features, other than that it had the ears of a bat and that it had some kind of cape on. I thought it was just some tall weirdo dressed in a Batman costume at first, until it made this chirping sound that was too low for humans to make. It poked at my camp, and then it began to violently tear the camp apart while growling, like with the intent to kill whoever was inside there. Now I fully understand that what I was doing in that parking garage wasn't exactly legal, but this would have been harsh punishment for anyone simply trying to find a place to sleep. It continued to rip my tent apart until it must have found that nobody was in there. It then made a loud, ear-piercing shriek out of frustration. It scared the pants off of me. It ran back into the darkness and the bat signal shut off. There was silence for a good minute until the lights came back on. I was so relieved I walked over to the destroyed, mangled wreck of a homeless guy's camp. The tent had been slashed open as if someone had taken 2 machetes to it. I was terrified out of my mind, but I decided to sit and wait out the whole night on my lonesome, with the knowledge that some freakishly tall monster was out there, waiting for me. When dawn broke, I picked up the remainder of my things and bolted out of there, not intending to stay another night there. It wasn't long until I found out in the local newspaper about a possible murder that had taken place not far from where that parking garage was. There was no body though, just blood splattered on a brick wall. The police never found any evidence, and there was no proper investigation. A few months later, the complex I had stayed at had been demolished to make way for a new office building. But by the time they demolished it, I was no longer homeless. Here's the part people don't talk about. It's not random. He only shows up in cities circling the drain. Places where crime festers, where corruption is thick, where people are already too scared to leave their homes after dark. He comes when things are bad enough. Not to help. Not really. More like feeding. And people who do see him up close don't last long. Not because he kills them, although some say he does eventually, but because they don't stay the same. They get paranoid, sick, start avoiding mirrors, some vanish altogether. Now I have no idea whether there's some correlation with the comic book character, but people have claimed to have seen a Michelin Man-like entity. So maybe it isn't out of the realm of possibility. What we have isn't a hero, or even a man. It's something old that wore the idea of a hero like a mask, the same way owls wear the faces of ghosts. The Batman. If your city is dying, if the alleys seem too quiet, you will see the signs. Blood where it shouldn't be. Slashes on walls, a shadow that lingers a second too long. Whatever you do, don't scream. He likes it when you scream. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because there are more chilling tales to be told. Also check out my other social media profiles. The links for those are down in the description. Thanks for listening.